Welcome to the Money GPS. You came here for the truth, so let me unveil that for you. Today I've got an interesting one because we are going to go into the depths of it all. The first thing I want to look at is the fact that the stock markets are upside down. You could see this in Europe, you could see it in Asia, and also in the United States and all over the world, in fact. The second thing we need to talk about is the chaos that has begun. Sure, you're going to get the headlines out there, but I want to show you what's happening on a deeper level. The third is the escalating food crisis. So if you stick with me until the end of the video, I promise I'm going to show you what you need to know today. No time to waste. Let's begin by taking a look at the markets themselves. These are the four broad US indexes, and you can see that it was a red day. The Dow Jones was down 1,000 points, actually 1,063 points to be exact. This comes after a day of extreme optimism. The Federal Reserve, they hiked interest rates by 50 basis points, and then the market reacted so positively, and that was completely erased in a single day. So what we are watching right now is extreme volatility, and this could be measured in many different ways. But you can see this with particular stocks like Amazon. Take a look at Amazon stock, which has fallen even further. I will get into this more and I'll show you what I'm talking about, but I wanted to lead with this. You can just see Amazon stock right now, as of this recording, 23.28. That brings it back to levels we have not seen since April of 2020. Think about this. We are basically erasing all of the gains from 2020 up until today. And this is a massive company, one of the biggest companies in the world. Oh, they are so fantastic. Everybody uses Amazon for just about everything. But what's going on when the stock isn't keeping up with the perception of that investor? Well, then we've got something else going on. Quote, if you go up 3% and then you give up 0.5% the next day, that's pretty normal stuff. But having the kind of day we did yesterday and then seeing it 100% reversed within half a day is just truly extraordinary. And you can see some of the examples that they throw out here, which includes e-commerce stocks. Well, they plummeted as consumers pull back on online spending. They're not going to highlight the fact that the central banks have pulled out on their stimulus and the governments have pulled back on their stimulus. No, it's because of the pullback on the online spending. Take it a step back. Try to understand, zoom out, and figure out why this is happening. Don't just say, well, they pulled back on their online spending. But what's happening with credit card usage? It's gone up. I mean, come on, there's so many different things, but they never get into that depth. That's why, despite what, anyway, it doesn't matter, but despite what we're seeing right now, we have to look into all of the little details and nuances and piece it all together ourselves. I expected some sell-off, but the great puking that's happening, I didn't expect that. They talk about capitulation and so on. Look at what's going on with oil prices. At the time of this recording, WTI crude oil at $109 a barrel. Brent at $111, almost $112 a barrel. This is quite significant to see where it has gone over the last while. It is volatile, no doubt, but that, along with natural gas and other commodities, have risen considerably. All right, we are looking at a steep deterioration of insider sentiment. It likely portends additional price declines in the insider's view. This is, there's more depth to this article, but all I wanted to highlight the fact that insiders are selling, or I should say insiders are not buying, but they've already sold many of them. So I had a whole list of the things that are happening today. So if you stayed with me until this part of the video, thank you for doing so. I'm going to give you each and every piece of this, the main pieces. Number one, stocks have fallen. Number two, insiders are not buying. Three, many have pulled some out. Take an example, Elon Musk. Okay, the guy has sold a lot. He sold Tesla at the absolute peak. Remember that? What about Tim Cook when he got a $300 million payout? Did he take those stock or did he sell? He sold the next day. Not all of his, he didn't sell all of his stock. No. What about the CEO of Microsoft? Sold a considerable portion over, period before this. Not 2022, but before this. And there are many, many examples. If you want to know when insiders are buying and selling, do not take my word for it. Do not take Bloomberg or CNBC's. I have a video about this in my e-course. Okay, if you go to the channel, you can scroll down to the playlists and you will see one about how to find out which stocks insiders are buying. You'll see that. Okay, so you can find that for yourself. The next thing is interest rates are higher. We know this. The direction is up. I will show you some examples of those today. Money printing is now gone or it's been reduced. That's a fact. Just like in 2018, inflation has gone higher, food prices are up, food bank usage has gone up as well. So the, sort of that 2020 timeframe. And then oil is up, other commodities are up. All of these things in place today, and people need to be aware of how important each and every piece is and how it wraps up together. So let's get to the next aspect here. I think this is really significant and not talked about enough. CNBC actually mentions it here. I'm not sure how many actually cared about it, but to me, this is significant. Unretirement is becoming a hot new trend in the sizzling US labor market. The level of workers who retired and then came back a year later is running around 3.2%. No, see, they're making seem as though, well, they're being really enticed to come back. No, they can't afford it. Maybe their 401k, their retirement account had dropped significantly. Maybe the value of their home is up, but they necessarily don't want to pull that out at this time. Maybe they've got too much debt. Maybe they've got medical bills. Maybe they've got other problems right now and they have to go back. Many people would love to work for a long period of time. But what happens here when it is an unfortunate circumstance where they are forced to go back? That's a different story. Worker output fell 7.5% in the first quarter. That is the biggest decline since 1947. Worker productivity is falling. At the same time, labor cost as measured against productivity soared 11.6%. So we are watching right now a very unusual time where the unemployment rate is super low. The job openings, I think it was like over 5 million job openings on top of the unemployment. So you could imagine, let me say this way, you could fill every single open job and still have 5 million plus open jobs. I mean, something like this. It's crazy. We've never seen anything remotely like this before. But I'll tell you this, if asset prices come down further and further, I bet you that those jobs will start to fill up. Now, you can see I've shown you the US, I've shown you Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and so on. Look at what happened with Turkey's CPI. This is their inflation rate surging from a very high 20% to now just under 70%, almost instantaneously. It doesn't go down, my friends. You watch this time and time again. Chile reloads tightening cycle with a bigger than expected hike. Central bank raised policy rate by 125 basis points to 8.25%. This is what we are going to see more common over and over again. Bank of England, my friends, in the UK, we have raised interest rates to 1%. That's what's going on. That was from May 5th. And you could see for yourself, time and time again, we are watching the cycles go through and they will repeat over and over and over. Let's get into the last and most important factor here. I think that everybody should be paying attention. Nutrien sees supply. There we go. Let me try that. Nutrien sees supply chaos hampering fertilizer market into 2023. Sanctions on Belarus and Russia to cause long-term supply snags. Nutrien weighs whether to boost output to fill supply gaps. The world's top fertilizer makers see disruptions that have thrown the market into chaos, likely extending beyond 2022. So for the next year, we can expect that this is going to be an issue. What does that mean? It means they won't have time to catch up. That means food prices will be staying high. That means people have less disposable income. That means, by the way, what Bank of England had said, if it's mentioned right here, it was somewhere I read it. Regardless, it is, in fact, a recession incoming, according to the Bank of England. That's what they're saying. Okay, so we will see what happens. They can make any excuse they want. All I know is that this affects real people. Okay, real quick, two more things. Okay, for those listening on the podcast and not paying attention, I'm not joking around. This is not a money GPS joke here, the joke GPS. This is Reuters. This is the title. I'm just reading it. No poop for you. Manure supplies run short as fertilizer prices soar. All right. It's literally what it says here. And then they say, I wish we had more to sell, but there's not enough to meet the demand. What do I say? What do I say to this? All I know is that people can be paying higher prices. Simple matter of fact. So if you know that, if you have that in your mind, all of the information which I've shared to you today, there are only approximately 50 or 40% of the people still watching this video. And you, that 40 or 50%, hey, don't forget to give a thumbs up. No, but what you got to know right now is what the expectation is over the next few months for food prices, for electricity prices, and start to think to yourself, what can I do? There's things going on out of my control, but what can I do? Can I buy extra food? Can I buy some beans and rice and pasta, dried foods? Can I grow a garden? Can I have 5% of my food growing in my backyard? Can I start to seek out different places to buy that food? Maybe it's a farmer's market. Maybe you didn't really know, but there's a guy down the street who grows lots of crops and he's got that food, and maybe you've got something else. Maybe you can pay him. Or maybe you've got something that you can offer him. These things are out there. Search on places like Craigslist, look on Kijiji, ask around, talk to your neighbors. These are things that could help out. And this is just talking about baby formula getting even harder to come by at retailers across the US. Shortages of basically everything right now. We're watching that time and time again. It is a problem, after it's too late. People just realize it. Oh no, what? I didn't realize this would be so bad, and so on. And then here we are. Don't be one of those people. Get your stuff in order. I talked about everything right now today, and I hope that you got some useful information out of it. If you did, simply click that one button. It's right down there. I want to thank you for that. I want to thank you for your support on this channel. If you're not a subscriber already, 282,000 people perpetually at 282,000 subscribers. I hope you'll be one of those 282,000, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care.